going on, guys, and happy Monday. It's Daken season. The new August season launches today, and we're going to be breaking down everything you need to know about the brand new season pass card, our ratings on it, and overall, is it worth buying? We're also going to be breaking down all the cards, synergy, and combos you need to know about the newest card. We'll be looking at Silver Samurai, X23, and Lady DeathStrike, giving our early review and which ones are worth going after. And lastly, guys, we're going to be talking about the last OTA with Captain Marvel, Vision, Absorbing Man, and what it means to the Marvel Snap meta and the balance patches to come. We're going to be talking about that all today and more on this episode of the Snapchat. And as always, I'm joined by Mr. Alex Coccia. Hello, happy post-Conquerors, man, and August season. How we doing?
I'm doing absolutely fantastic, and the Conquerors event was absolutely amazing. What a great celebration of Marvel Snap. You and Dex did an absolutely amazing job casting, by the way. I watched the event back because obviously I was competing in it, so I couldn't watch it while I was competing. You guys did a great job. The whole event was great. I mean, anytime you have a massive community like Marvel Snap coming together to celebrate the game and celebrate competition and just kind of having an event that showcases what I believe is the best mode in Marvel Snap, it's a great time to be a Marvel Snap player.
Dude, it was so fun. I mean, first of all, it was cool being live in this studio, right? Like being there, and there was like Snap themed, right? So it was the first kind of like Snap feeling thing in the physical sense, but also it's one of the few events where like I knew all of the participants, which I feel like is rare for a caster. Dex obviously did a great job, but like the pre-show was a lot of fun. And just getting to know all of the participants, right? And getting to see Snap from a different angle. It made me want to play really bad, like watching all these people play and watching these decks go in. But all together, man, I thought it was really cool. I mean, definitely some hiccups, but for like a first event, I thought it was really well done.
The games that you were highlighting on screen were just a great showcase of why we love Marvel Snap, right? There was so much like crazy swings of emotion and victories, crazy defeats. It had it all. And ultimately, as I said before, it was an absolutely fantastic showcase of what Marvel Snap is all about.
It's so cool that the game, like, I said this to the people at the studio, it like just sells itself, right? Like, there's just chaos in all over the game anyway. Like Binks having an ego game, and then you had an incredible game versus Dara. Just the competition, like we didn't have any control. I don't think people understand. Like we didn't have control what games we went to. We were just hosting and casting, right? So there's a lot of last minute changes and things that we necessarily weren't like prepared for, but we worked on the fly a ton, and hopefully it presented somewhat well. But it was cool because Snap is so fast paced to begin with. But there are so many different things that you can show and angles. And I think this was a great building block of what kind of events for Snap can be, man. I think there's a good grounding here. I'm excited to see the future.
Yeah, the fact that this was like the first major official event just bodes amazingly well for the future of Marvel Snap and its competitive scene.
Bro, I got to tell you, I could talk for hours and hours and hours, but that was the most drained I've ever been. Not like a bathroom break. It was just 4 hours, because I think it was a 3-hour event, but then all of a sudden it was like, if you're in game 4, you can keep going, which, as you know, dude, it's like another hour got tacked on. So by the end of it, man, I was spent, but it was definitely just a memory that I'll have, a core memory for a very long time. As like a player, did it feel like intense? Was it nerve-wracking? Like knowing, I mean, 10,000 plus people are watching you, and every play you make and everything you like, dude, I was nervous for you, and I was casting.
Yeah, it was quite an experience because it was set up to be like a fun, casual kind of like, just a showcase style event. It wasn't supposed to be competitive. And then what happened was that as soon as you apply a reward for whoever wins, and not for us, it's for the community, you suddenly have this pressure of like, I have to perform for the people that voted for me, right? Like in a standard game, if I lose, I don't care. But now I need to represent the best interest of the people who voted for me. So I got to give it my all. I have to go hard. And not just for the showcased event. I have to go hard for those 48 hours to try to provide the people that voted for me with the best opportunity to win the variant. And so it ended up being way more sweaty than anybody actually expected.
Bro, you were the vote of the Snapchat. Like you were representing the Snapchat, man. There was one point when you were playing Dara, and I just was like, all right, man, this is it. This is for our glory, man. I just love to, out of everybody, all the participants, Alex was the one that we got to do an interview with. And it felt like, dude, it felt at home. It was like Snapchat on the go.
Yeah, it was, first of all, it was an honor to be featured with the interview. And it's a great time to just talk about Marvel Snap anytime I get to. Like I say all the time, I just love this game. I love talking about it. And it was so funny. Like, it was so much Italian was strolling through the stream while I was talking. Yeah, and honestly, like I am Italian. I can understand everything that was being said, which is kind of funny. I was like, I can understand all that. Like, I don't know if they realize that I can read and understand everything that was being said. Yeah, obviously. My family is Italian.
My grandmother's from Italy. I'm as Italian as you could be without my father being from there. And I couldn't. I didn't know what they were saying. In fact, I said Mamma Mia like 10 times too many, I think, out of nerves.
Yeah, I mean, it was so funny. Obviously the moderators weren't Italian because some of the swearing that was getting dropped like repeatedly was absolutely hilarious. Yeah. And like, because it was in a different language, I guess the mods were like, I don't know what that means. And so it just kind of slipped by.
Dude, my favorite thing about the event, yes, there could have been more, like there were some noticeable great people like Educated Collins that didn't make it into the event. But, and hopefully I really want these people to make it next time. But one thing I thought they did well was the representation from like around the Marvel Snap globe, right? I thought that was a really cool thing, and I hope they can continue to do that. And he answered everybody to his animal tier list sins live in front of everybody. You handled it like a champ. You handled it like a champ. Thank you.
I appreciate that. Hey, listen, elephants are rising up to tiers. I've gone to see them this summer. I was looking at an elephant recently. I was like, you know what? Do I move them up to B? I ultimately decided not to. They still remain C, but you know what? I'm open to it.
Hey, Thanos went from the worst card trash in the game to one of your favorite cards in the game. So there's hope for elephants. There's hope for lions, rhinos, tigers, and bears. We got a lot to talk about today. People know what we're talking about on this side of the Snapchat. If you guys don't know, you can go listen on Alex's side. And Alex, what are we going to be talking about on your side?
Yeah, on my channel, we'll be discussing our favorite cards of the season, the ones that carried us to Infinity Conquest and beyond. We'll also be talking about the new roadmap that was just announced by Second Dinner and kind of gives us an idea of what the future of Marvel Snap's development is going to look like. And then finally, we're going to talk about the cards on the rise and the cards on the fall for this next upcoming season.
Alex, let's go ahead and talk about this season. It starts today, Monday, August 7th. And guys, Daken Destroy season begins. And to me, this feels like the most exciting of a season that we've had in a good amount of time. It feels similar to what Hitmonkey was to the game, but Destroy is so much more interesting to most players, right? Like, that's kind of the feeling that I have about Daken as we kind of kick off this pure topic just about him.
Yeah, so this season's going to be pretty wild. There's a number of cards I think can really shake up the game. Like, we have some really heavy hitters, and we'll be talking about that soon as well. But like, Daken itself looks like it has some insane potential, specifically at the 3-drop. Like, it's just, it basically makes like Thor look like a little child now. Like, it's just crazy what you can do. I don't want to say that. Thor has its place.
Oh, I like that you brought up Thor because it was my first comparison, right? So he's a 3/4. And if you don't know what Daken does, he's a 3/4, and whenever you destroy the Muramasa shard, he's going to become a 3/8, and then as you continue to manipulate that shard, you can make him stronger and stronger. Now, a 3/8's fantastic. It's like that Crossbones, but at a 3 cost. The only difference is, well, there's a couple. Thor is going to shuffle into your hand so he can ruin your draw. Okay, so if you look at the negatives there, he can go up significantly higher, and Shang-Chi can destroy him. But I think the biggest difference is the surprise factor. So I think Daken's going to be it's Daken. Sorry, it's Daken, not Daken. I heard Daken a million times, and then through Marvel Snap, I heard Daken, so we'll call him Daken. Daken is going to be able to be a lot more dependable of that 3/8, and it's going to be very easy to make him that high.
It is, and the other side to it too is that you have to invest in some way to get that shard out or broken, or like it's not like Daken doesn't just come out as a 3 whatever. Like, it doesn't just come out as a 3/8 when like you have to destroy that shard. So he almost feels like a 4 cost to some degree, or like it's the 3 cost plus something. It's kind of like the way Phoenix Force works. Like it has to have a combo potential. Like, it's whereas Thor kind of just works on its own. Obviously you have Jane Foster, but like, yeah, there's more to the two. Like, it is a direct comparison, but there's more minutia than perhaps we give it credit for at first glance.
What I will say though is that the way he's going to work is like you already have all this synergy built into it because of Destroy anyway. Like, I do see that comparison a lot, and it's going to cost 1 energy. But the way you're doing Destroy to begin with, right? You want that fodder. You want more ways to destroy what is going to be this Muramasa shard, right? It's a 1/1, but you have Carnage to help build this up. Obviously, Discard is going to be able to do this for free. So it is different. You do have to rely on a combo, but I feel like it's much different than comparing him to something like Nimrod or even Phoenix Force at that point, right? It kind of feels like it's going to be a lot easier to get this off dependently.
Yeah, you know what? I like that you bring up discard as well, because I have a question for you, Cozy. I was thinking about this while I was looking at this card and looking at Daken itself. Do you feel like that this card benefits Destroy more than it benefits discard? Because I feel like Destroy is probably going to get a little more value from it, whereas discard can get it out for free, but I feel like ultimately, I think this is more of a Destroy card. Like, I'm curious of what your opinion is.
It's kind of cool. I feel like this season is definitely a Destroy season, and Daken is going to be more in favor of Destroy, but there are going to be synergies. You know what it is? If you go all in for the new cards this season, then his discard package is going to be really strong as well. Just pure out, if you only get this card, then I think he's better for Destroy. Before we go too far into that particular, because I want to talk card synergies, decks that we see him working in the best. Dude, I think just at a pure level, which we could see PC release now any day, week, month at this point because of the way the roadmap was. I think he's really good for newer players. I think that people below Pool 3, this is a card that you're going to be able to use to large success. In fact, like, think about some of these other ones that we've had. I don't know if they're as new player friendly, so I want to start there. I think he's just good as his core kit goes. But when it comes to, because Destroy kind of needs a lot of in-depth Pool 3 null action, right? Just standalone, give me kind of a 1 through 10, how you feel like he's going to impact Marvel Snap.
Standalone, it's always hard to say, but like, honestly, he could be an 8. And the reason why I say that is because you're right to identify that, like, I think he's going to work well for all collection levels. If you think about what Destroy really can do well early on in like Pool 2, Pool 3, you have Killmonger, you have Nova, and think about what that does to Daken, because you have Nova on board, presumably on turn 1, Daken's out, and then you have Mir Masa Shard, which gets destroyed by Killmonger. And then what you have is you have the Nova proc, then the Shard gets destroyed, and then Daken goes up to 10, right? Yeah. So like, you have this natural immediate synergy that like is available in Pool 2. Pool 2. You got Bucky Barnes, you're gonna have Carnage, obviously. Venom's gonna be the one you really want to like grab, because Venom is such a good card. So it's unfortunate it's in Pool 3, but ultimately, like, that's 10 power. Like, that's a very good card that I think has synergy in Pool 2. So you're right. I think it does help a lot of players at different collection levels.
Yeah, so I like him probably best with Carnage because you've got the 1 shard and it's that little extra fodder, right? Whereas like Venom, at least the way I play Venom, I want him to build up a bit more before things start cooking with him. I'm going to give him a solid 8, definitely. I think in the decks you're playing him in, I get it that he's a 4 cost if we want to get mathematical. In the decks you're playing him in, he's technically a better Maximus with no drawback. In fact, the drawback is that extra energy, but that's to build up things like Carnage or to get your death count down with the Killmonger. Like, everything he's doing kind of helps that kid out. I don't see how he's not an awesome season pass card. I think this is going to be an easy 8 and probably, again, similar to what Hitmonkey offered the meta. I think he's going to do the same.
I think you're right that like Hitmonkey is a similar comparison in terms of its meta relevance, because like Silver Surfer, for instance, or Zabu, they had very wide meta implications. Whereas like Hitmonkey was very specific to like, Sarah Control, Bounce, and others. And I think Daken's going to be similar, where it's going to have a very niche application, but still very good, because like, yes, we want help for discard. Discards always needed help, especially with Spider-Ham running wild. Discard needed something, we get it here. Destroy, ironically, is like a really popular archetype, but in terms of win percentage, actually is lowest amongst the most popular, right? And this might give it that extra little oomph since the Deathwave package got dismantled. So I'm actually really interested to see how this impacts the meta overall.
What's cool too, if you're a player that doesn't, you don't have the ability to get all the new cards, or you're saving for September, he's one of those that, like, we've seen it now in a couple months in a row now, where like the card gets complemented by the other cards, right? So obviously, for instance, you had like Ghost Spider, and then you had 2099. He's just good on his own with base Destroy. The cards coming out, yes, are going to be great to kind of aid him and give you more tools, but you can just put him into kind of a Destroy. Destroy is so hard to fit in new cards as it is, but he has a clear place in that role mainly because he's a 3 cost. And I would actually say the same about discard, and we'll get to that in just a moment. The thing it is, though, Alex, compared to how we used to talk about it, we kind of always used to say, if you play Marvel Snap, the Season Pass is a no-brainer. We're giving them an 8, but now that they're doing these season weekend missions, which we know they suck, they're going to be way better with him than Phoenix Force. Let's just get that clear. You're now getting, what, like 600 gold throughout the month on top of the Season Pass, on top of a good card. If you're playing Marvel Snap to any degree, I just think it just seems like a no-brainer, especially this particular season.
I agree. I think the Season Pass always generally represents the best value of Marvel Snap. And we've talked about in the past that we think it can be better. And yeah, with the weekend missions being what they are, I still think the weekend missions need to be improved. I don't like the whole win until like you don't want to play a card anymore type thing that they do with the Season Pass card. Like, you know, Phoenix, I'll tell you, I didn't even do the Phoenix Force one this week. I'm just like, I'm not doing it. I just don't want to play that. So, but yeah, you're right. This is going to be, I think, a much more impactful card, and ultimately I think it's going to be more fun to play. Like this season is shaping up to be like, I think, one of the best ones in Snap, and I think this card's going to lead the way. It's definitely it's the top 2 of the season. I guess it's the top 2. I think there's one other card that might ultimately be slightly better, and I know we're going to talk about that soon, but it's going to be an absolute banger.
Yeah, we're going to rank all the cards in order at the end of our next subject, but I want to talk about card synergy and then some decks here for Daken. So if you don't play a lot of Destroy, where is he going to fit in? What deck and archetypes can you play if you don't want to play Destroy? And ultimately, what are those small card combos if you want to just kind of slot them in to different decks? Now, obviously, Alex, I think the one that is we kind of already mentioned, naturally, Killmonger is going to be there as a huge kind of last play now. Turn 5, turn 6, you've got the Shard on the board, you've got their 1-cost drops, all of a sudden, boom, you're getting an 8 drop, maybe the Nova's on your side, you're getting rid of their board. Like, Killmonger's a 3... what, like 10 plus now with the Daken synergy. I feel like we're gonna go back Daken and Daken a million times in this. This is kind of, in my opinion, the obvious winner, but there's like 10 synergized cards with Daken.
There's a ton, and the one that, like, okay, I've been really trying to see how I can, you know, kind of like dream up a really good discard deck, because I think discard might be not the most immediately obvious deck for this. I think Destroy is very clear. But with this card, I think there's going to be potential for like a Moon Girl of the Muramasa Shard into MODOK, and then like suddenly it's just like boom, like that. He just gets huge, and you still have your Apocalypse and potentially other synergistic cards as well.
I'm glad you mentioned her, because I was going to say Moon Girl at the beginning when we were talking about newer players. Like, this seems like a really good addition. You have to be, the way that it's going to work, it's going to just makes sense too, because you play him on 3, it's in your hand, then you play her on 4, and it's just like bam, bam, right? The thing is, with discard, you're having to commit no extra energy, and you have a way to get rid of the Shard to double the power, right? When it comes to Destroy, you're kind of feeding it into your kit that lowers death, rises null, and then doubles Daken. So there's a stark difference on the two, one of which is a bit more direct and less RNG, and the other one is for free, and you can't discount that. Yeah, I like Moon Girl. This is definitely a big winner when it comes to synergy. We got to talk about just cards that rise power, right? Obviously, we just had the, not coincidental, Hulkbuster, which is crazy. He's a 3/5 on his own now. But Hulkbuster is when you start to get to greedy territory with Daken. Let me say this. I think Daken's going to be best as a 3/8. That's where you should use him. That value, he's like a Deadpool in disguise. Don't worry about getting him too wild. But Hulkbuster's going to allow you now to get him to, wait for it, am I going to say this correctly? An 18 power play? That's insane.
It is insane. And I just want to highlight what you've said here. And this happens every single time a new card gets released. People see the new card and they want to take it to like the craziest level with the craziest combo, like the 15% win rate. I'm going to get Daken to like, 45 or whatever. That's not the best way to approach this card. I love the fact that you say if you hit 3/8, you've done it. Like, that's a damn good card. It's better than Maximus. It's better than Maximus.
100%. What's cool is if you think about, like, what do you call nowadays a turn 6 play? To me, that's like massive, right? It's like 20 power plus, right? These 20, 28 power we're seeing with like an Infinite She-Hulk, crazy power plays, right? It's so cool to think that you can technically play Hulkbuster on 6 on your Daken. You play Nova. The Shard is either out there already or it's not. And then you slam down the Carnage. Or you just do Hulkbuster, Carnage, or Shard and Carnage. you're having a massive turn swing out of nowhere, man. Like, instantaneously. I'm telling you, man, surprise-wise, I think he is doing what we've seen with these other cards coming to destroy, offering a different package. What Nimrod did, right? Where it's not this easy, you know, A to Z, you know what's going to happen with destroy. And it's not just Hulkbuster, man, but what do you think about this kind of power boost, Daken?
I think it's good. I think that like it ultimately is going to come down to like how you can attack locations while also keeping your opponent on their toes. Like, for instance, another card that works really well is going to be Silver Surfer because again, first of all, 3-drop, that's obvious. However, what I want to say is that the best kit right now with Silver Surfer runs Killmonger Nova, which is immediately synergistic with Daken. So what you're going to be able to do is like that Nova now has an infinite amount of value because not only are you propping up your broods and you're propping up everything else on the board, but you're also going to be able to run up your Daken, which I'm using interchangeably on purpose now because now I'm not sure what to do either.
I know, dude. I'm saying like we need to count. Somebody in the comments section on YouTube just say how many times we went back and forth because I think it is Daken. Yeah, it's Day.
I think it must be Daken. It must be.
What were we saying at first? Daken?
Daken. We said Daken at first.
Which one did I correct this to?
I don't know. I'm so confused.
Daken. Regardless, we're gonna get roasted no matter what for this.
Yeah,
but
I know.
Yes. Essentially, you're doing it's a tale as old as time, the Magneto play. You're doing one play that's affecting multiple lanes, and with Surfer, you're now doing that like tenfold. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you can literally close. You don't even need Sarah. You could literally play the Spider-Man turn 5, right? Because you can play Daken, then you can play the Shard plus the third 3-power cost on 4. So the Shard goes out on turn 4, which is something that Silver Surfer has never been able to confidently do. You have so many 3-drops. What do you usually do on 4? Now you have a 3-drop and the Shard coming down. Turn 5, you lock it down with Spider-Man or even Sarah, but you don't need to. And turn 6, it's literally Killmonger Surfer. Yep. Like, and then all of a sudden your whole board just lights up with power, and you get like it feels like old Surfer again, and like it's just so high. Imagine playing Daken on turn 3, and then you Maximus Shard turn 4, and then literally you lock down a lane, and then turn 6 it's Killmonger Silver Surfer. That is so much vertical power that traditionally Silver Surfer never used to be able to do.
And then the broods, you can have the Nova out there. You can have this, like you're pumping out. Now you have this lane, right, that had the brutes, and now you have Daken having his own lane almost, where he can kind of carry his own load on that lane, right? Like that is what's going to be so crazy. And it used to have to be Maximus in that role, and now I don't think even close. Heck, maybe you can slip in Hulkbuster, and then you can do the math. Like, does it make the most sense to put this on him, or do I just drop this in the lane with nobody and get a 3-5, right? Because then you can kind of make, multi-purpose for him. I like that you said Surfer. Another card that I think in more of the general use for him, that is definitely needs a home, right? Like he doesn't have much. It's Forge. Forge is a 2/1, and you're able to play him the turn before. It has this natural curve, giving him just that +2, and you immediately now are looking at a 12-power card. It just kind of works because of the curve of Forge as well.
And you'd also have Forge in conjunction with other cards like Mr. Sinister, Brood, and others, where he might be a more impactful play. I don't know what that deck looks like yet,
or Deadpool,
but I think that's pretty damn cool.
Like he kind of works with the cards that work with because of Deadpool's existence. It works with this whole Daken synergy or Surfer kind of role because of Broods, and there's some synergy here without forcing it,
Yeah, and one thing I will say too, though, is there are some limitations to the card. Like, it's not a good turn 6 card, right? Naturally, whereas like even like a Maximus we were talking about before is a good turn 6 card, but as a 3-power card, you're right. These ways to kind of step through the power, like with you have Forge 2, you have a Daken on turn 3, and then you have the Shard on turn 4 plus another 3-drop. Could be Polaris, could be whatever you want. It feels like he fits very naturally into like several archetypes, but cleanly in the curve, which I think is what like Phoenix Force couldn't do. Phoenix Force never curved properly at 5 cost, and they tried to help it curve properly at 4, and I think Daken solves that problem.
And you were forcing things to work, whereas this just has cards that naturally work within the deck. And on top of that, I heard a great take on this. Like, yes, the multiple man thing's incredible with Phoenix Force. It's so fun, right? But how obvious is that? The second you see a multiple man get destroyed, you're not like, wow, I wonder what deck he's playing, right? It's just obvious at that point. So this is just going to naturally work. Dude, Calling Wing is already above power stat line for the 2/4. And the fact you now are not just sitting there, hoping for the swarm, hoping that the swarm gets there. You just have immediately a great other card to fall back on. You don't get to play her necessarily right away and on the curve you want to. Like, dude, we've had the same discard line for how long now? Where it's like, you know what you're doing on every single turn, and Daken is going to switch that up a little bit, yeah?
It will. And listen, Colleen Wing is overstated and has a reliable discard effect, which, I mean, people say, oh, discards RNG. Well, not with Colleen Wing, not with Sif, and that's why they're so valuable. Not with Silver Samurai, right? We're getting these additional tools that are going to make this targeted discard much more valuable.
Mark my words, there's going to be a collector MODOK targeted discard deck with Daken at the helm, especially once Silver Samurai comes out. That is going to be a very, very dependable deck. I mean, you have things like Stature, which now makes sense that she's coming out this season in the spotlights, right? Another way to get her activated through Silver Samurai is going to be fantastic, while also building up your own list. It's like a new good card stat list, dude. It's going to be crazy. And, man, I love that discard's going to get this too, outside of Destroy, because it needed something sexy to bring it. Tell me this. We all know discard's good. It just is it's like over time it gets repetitive.
It does, and it's also very predictable. Like when I play against someone who's playing discard, I know exactly what their hand looks like. I know exactly what their turns look like. I play so much discard, like I know exactly what you're doing.
My list for him, no question. I think it's going to be Destroy will be his natural best fit home. After that, I think
agree.
It's Surfer. And after that, I think it's Discard. But I think all of those are optimal decks.
I would agree. I might swap Discard and Surfer there. I wonder if he actually performs as good in Surfer as I think he might. I think he will. I do think he will, because it's just such a natural play on 3.
Well, just think about it, dude. Polaris, she's 3-5, and we go crazy about her. So even if you didn't get to pop anything off, he's a 3-4, which isn't good, but at least it's gonna be decent, and then you also have the ability with Killmonger and Nova already in there.
Yeah, I just wonder if it really locks Silver Surfer into like this deadlock of like you have to play Killmonger, Invisible Woman, Nova. Not even so much Invisible Woman anymore, because the bounce is kind of off a little bit, but like I feel like it might make Silver Surfer a little more rigid if you're playing Daken.
Yeah, let's go to our first spotlight new card in Lady DeathStrike. Probably the most just interesting cards out of the list. Super excited to kind of see what she's going to bring to the table. Lady DeathStrike, initial impressions, if you guys don't know, she's a 5-cost, 3-power card. On reveal, destroy each card here with less power than this.
Yeah, this card is absolutely wild. I think that this is one of the most interesting cards they've released in a very, very long time. And I mean, my first impressions, honestly, when I first saw this card was like, this is going to be either the best 5-drop you can possibly have in your hand or the worst 5-drop you could possibly have in your hand, and very little middle ground. It's going to be a wild one, but I think it's going to take a lot of work to get it to the place where you're like, hell yeah, Lady Deathstrike is going to cause damage here.
Yeah, dude, okay. To me, Lady Deathstrike, I think I said this when we first reviewed these cards. To me, she seems like the card that's going to win some crazy games, and she'll probably lose you more than she wins, ultimately. Like, there's definitely going to be a place for her, but we've talked about this time and time again, right? She's a 5-cost card, so she just has to have that value. Now, I do think there's decks that she's going to work in, but dare I say it, and again, this speaks to how good this season is. I think she's the worst card this season as a collective whole. Would you say the same? Give her a 1 through 10?
I mean, I think she's probably going to come out and end up being a 5-4 range. Not maybe 6. It's hard to say, because like I feel like this card could be like, it might need a buff because it's so hard. You're going to have to invest a lot to get this card to do exactly what you want it to. It's one of those cards that feels like the deck starts to build itself a little bit, because you need to buff the power. You cannot play a 5-3. And unless you're playing against a Mr. Negative deck, then you just snap and they lose anyway. But like, unless you're just planning on, well, I'm going to get Bucky Barnes, I guess, like you have to play to buff this up. And I think that's going to be hard.
Great point. She's a combo card, right? So combo card, because at the 5-3 base value, we're talking, obviously there's some really good plays. There's insane plays. Iron Man, like, whoa, you can get rid of an Iron Man. Dracula is not as relevant now, but there's these kind of cards. The problem is, I love it. With the Iron Man alone, Iron Man's played in Bass decks usually, right? Well, guess what? That's not going to be higher than the three power. So you do have to find ways to buff her up. I was going to bring up that when we talked about her decks, there's two decks I see her fitting into. The Mr. Negative builds, which are on the rise, and she could be a nice surprise in those decks, man. A 3-5, at that point, now we're cooking. But, man, you got to hope she draws after, and you need the negative pull. Like, it's just, there's a lot of risk there. Naturally, there's going to be ways to kill your Novas and stuff, so you can't undermine that. I think these kind of combo power decks, too, like we talked about Forge with Daken just a second ago. Well, you could play Forge with her, too. So now you have this kind of, like, combo synergistic thing with power building. But that's about it. To me, dude, you know what she feels like? Arnim Zola, before he had cards that really worked with him.
I think that getting this card to be an active, true game-defining play might be a little too much hassle, especially when you consider what other cards are coming out this season and how good they just naturally slide into some decks.
Yeah, because you can't even cheat it out all that much. Like, Jubilee would be its best cheat out. But if you think about it, right, like Lockjaw decks, like this thing comes out, your puppy dog's dead. Like, this thing is going to kill everything on both sides. You know what? Iron Lad, honestly, would be fantastic with this card. Iron Lad, kind of like Howard the Duck decks, I think is going to be really cool for it. It just feels like, and don't get me wrong, we're going to see some insane play with this. We are going to see some really cool places for it. I just feel like she's probably the worst as of now. Until we get more zero power kind of Iron Man feeling cards, I just don't think she's going to be the best. Not saying she's going to be bad. I don't think there's a bad card this season. Listen, you know what it is? In the Loki season pass, we've got Eliath, who is another 5-cost card that destroys everything. And it's like, I think that just completely craps on Lady Deathstrike.
Oh, that's going to be one of the most insane cards ever released, in my opinion. But I actually had this thought, and this is another question for like Lady Deathstrike, and I propose this to you, Cozy. So I think this counters, like, for instance, Patriot. Patriot Mystique get mangled by this.
Yep.
But why play this when you can just play Enchantress and effectively do the same thing? Like, it's like, I don't know. Obviously, you destroy your own cards, you can set up some synergies there, but it's like, it feels like just the power is going to be a major limiting factor by design. But I don't think right now, with the cards we have available, this card will have an immediately crazy impact. And if I'm wrong, I love to be wrong, but I don't see this having the impact of, say, other cards we'll be talking about in a few moments.
You know what's kind of cool, though, is if it was Patriot, Mystique, let's say Mr. Sinister, right? The Mr. Sinister would be way over that power, but it would kill in order. So you would kill the Patriot, then the Mystique, and then the Sinisters would go down, and I'm pretty sure it would then destroy the Sinister. So, like, that is kind of the cool thing about it, right? And again, I think that you can kill this thing, or you could buff this thing up more reliably than we think. I mean, heck, even the Koye. No, but getting that above that power limit, I think there's going to be some room for it. Like, do Deadpool early on? No, because it's a 5-cost. So no, I don't know, man. I think that the power boosting, like we talked about with Daken, power boosting already exists in Destroy in some regard. So there's going to now be probably a concentrated deck with that. And this is kind of your plan B in those decks than just going tall.
Yeah, is there, like, while you were talking, I was thinking, is there possible, like, a combo like Nakia turn 3, Shuri turn 4, Lady Deathstrike turn 5 into Arnim Zola? Does that even get it high enough to be relevant? Like, it won't clear out those lanes, will it, though?
Yeah, and the problem is you're killing your own card. You know what it is, dude? X23, which is going to be the next card we talk about, will be able to have you ramp her out quicker. I think that's really, I was just thinking back to it because I'm like, oh no, would be great. But by this point, like, dude, ramping this stuff out would be so hard. And so naturally, we'll move on to X23. Lady Deathstrike, though, listen, I believe she's on the Stature Week with MODOK, right? I think that's correct. If you don't have, she is. If you don't have those cards, that's kind of cool. It's kind of hot. Not gonna lie, that's a hot week.
Yeah, it is. And Stature is going to get some synergy with Samurai that we're going to be talking about soon as well. MODOK is like an archetype defining card. Like, playing discard without MODOK just feels like you're not even playing discard anymore. So yeah, I would absolutely agree, Cozy. And I'm excited to talk about X23 because I don't know about you, I think this is the card.
Dude, we kind of ranked these, I think, a month and a half ago. We got, like, stupid excited. We're like, she can't release this way. And guess what? She is, right? Think about it. Let's start where we kind of transition to her. Whereas if you can get Lady Deathstrike out early by carnaging X23, you can then play Lady Deathstrike on the lane that she's on, Hopefully it's on a lane that you want to destroy other cards, and then you destroy her again, allowing you to keep on this ramping thing going without doing anything that extra, right? X23 is obviously the card that everybody's excited about, and I think what it comes down to is way back even in February, in January, Noel felt like such a force to deal with, but he never felt like you could get him out on time. You always wanted to do other things. You wanted to concentrate your efforts on destroying. Like, destroy is such a, you need to do this on this turn and this on this turn, or just maximize your gain of killing your Deadpool. Whereas X23 now, there's a little bit of RNG in there, but it's the ultimate fodder card.
This card is so unbelievably versatile as well. Like, imagine what a turn looks like with Destroy. Like, it completely changes the way Destroy is played, because you could do something like this. You can do turn 1 X23, turn 2 Wolverine, turn 3 Deathlock, and then, like, blow them up. Wolverine goes whatever. He flips around. He's a 4. X23 goes to another location. You ramp up the energy, and then you just play a Professor X on top of your Deathlock. Like, what's your opponent do? Like, you've ramped up so much power, and those cards are so, like, Deathlock is overstated for a 3. It's crazy, and you never in a million years would have thought about playing Destroy that way, and all of a sudden, it's like, wait a minute, I can do things with Destroy I've never been able to do before.
Dude, that's what it is. It's, if you look at all the Destroy decks out there, every single one is going to benefit, right? Nimrod Destroy, through the roof. Getting out Nimrod early, insane. How about Thanos Destroy? Incredible. You have all these stones, and you have her. You kill them all together. Bada bing, bada boom. Things are looking pretty good. You have the Time Stone. You can start ramping. You know, obviously, the 5-cost Thanos decks, they exist now to a heavy degree, and this kind of builds into that. And then, if you look at, dude, there's so many cards on this list that just being able to ramp out a little bit early is going to be fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. I think because of the Noel thing going on with her, it's what gets me so dang excited the most. Really trying to get out Noel, cheating him early, or just one of the other pieces. I don't know, man. I really think that this card is going to offer something unique and really change the archetype moving forward.
I don't know. I'm excited. I think this is the S tier card of the season. If not, this might be one of the most impactful 1-drops in Marvel Snap.
It's just going to be a core builder, right? Like, even Daken. Daken's awesome, but he's not... He's offering a new way to play Destroy, whereas, like, this is going to be a core build, right? Like, this is going to be needed. It's almost like Ghost Spider and Move, whereas, like, Ghost Spider needs to be in Move decks now. It's not Spider 2099. It's not a cool thing you can do. This is going to be a card that just changes the way that you're able to now play Deadpool in a 6-cost. Or, dude, there's endless possibilities. I think Destroy is the obvious. Discard, on the other hand, it works with what we were talking about, right? You've got the Calling Wing discard thing going on now. Swarm, Daken, X23. It's like, hey, take your pick as long as the shard is out there. Good times ahead. Good times ahead for both archetypes.
Yeah, discard can only really discard it once, where I think that, like, Destroy can absolutely abuse it, which I think is the difference. And you know what is kind of the metric by which I determine what cards are really going to be impactful? Straight up, Cozy, get ready for this. How do I replace X23? That's going to be the question you see on the YouTube videos
it's just
and
Psylocke,
Twitter.
dude, and it's not a good answer.
No, it's not. Like, but really, the answer is, like, you can't. Like, what this card does for Destroy is not replaceable. Psylocke doesn't do what this card does for Destroy.
She's kind of like, you know what she is? She's the Thanos Destroy package in one card. Like, Thanos Destroy, you have Time Stone and Psylocke typically in this kind of deck, so you have a couple ways to ramp up quickly. That's just all shoved into one card, bro. And even like we just said, Lady Deathstrike, we're going to talk about Silver Samurai. These cards all just feed into this synergy even more so. I'm telling you, it's going to be so refreshing having a new take on what Destroy is going to be. You have her out there, man, for freaking Galactus decks too. You can have one space less, but you're going to have immediately that extra power. Obviously, things like Venom just build up high. The regenerative Destroy decks, pure winner from this season.
It's going to be wild what this card does. And if anything, it once again showcases how much more important early turns are becoming. We have had so many 1-drops get released that have been immensely impactful on the meta. Kitty Pryde. We have Nebula, which honestly, Nebula has been almost forgotten about. Still an absolutely insane banger card. X23, I think, is going to be right up there with one of the most impactful 1-drops ever released.
Absolutely, man. And our last card is going to be Silver Samurai. He's a 4/5, everybody, and he's an on reveal. Each player discards the lowest power card from their hand. Now, obviously, we talked about the Shard. We talked about X23, things you want to obviously discard if you're going with that style. They've already said, Alex, they're trying to be very careful with these kind of cards released because, well, obviously, there's you don't want to be able to get rid of your opponent's full hand. My buddy, you know I'm a Zabu lover. You know there's just immediate synergy there. What do you like about Silver?
Yeah, you know what? Again, it's the Silver Surfer effect. Silver Surfer and Zabu. If there's 3 drops or there's 4 drops, we got to talk about them, how they interact with that archetype. And Zabu is going to love Silver Samurai to a degree. I don't think it's very niche. It's obviously extremely niche. But like honestly, on paper, you Zabu turn 2, Wong turn 3, Silver Samurai turn 4 into Black Bolt turn 5. What does your opponent even do? Like they have nothing. Their hand's just gone, and they have to hope they top deck, I don't know, something that hasn't been discarded yet. So it's like I think you can actually blow up your opponent's hand with Silver Samurai. I think we're pretty much there. And I don't know. I think it's niche, but it might actually find itself in a pretty cool disruption list.
It's not only that, dude. I think Absorbing Man now with the 4/5, we have Zabu out on 2, you play Silver Samurai, then you play Absorbing Man. Bang, bang. You got big power. You have 10 power on your side. And keep in mind, guys, read this carefully. Lowest power card. Lowest power. That is insane. That's a lot of... That's the Iron Man. It's like Lady Deathstrike, but before they get played, which I think is fantastic, right? And we don't know this yet, but my guess is the way they've been building these cards, we're going to see Silver Samurai like do his chopping motion, and we're going to see the card that we get rid of. So it's also some intel as well. I think we missed that so much with Spider-Ham that when it comes to Moon Knight, we watch Moon Knight do the discard. So it would be the exact same thing. And now you have ways to do multiple ways of intel gathering and disruption.
Yeah, I would almost guarantee you're going to see what they discard. It would be consistent with Moon Knight. And again, like the amount of value you now generate from Stature, you're not just locked into Stature Black Bolt. You have another opportunity to get Stature out early, because if you play Silver Samurai on turn 3 and you have Zabu on turn 4, you can Stature plus whatever, Stature Darkhawk, Stature, whatever, another 4 drop, right? So that's pretty notable too.
Let's not go too crazy, but even just what we just said, Zabu, Samurai, Absorbing Man, right? So that we're on turn 4, Absorbing Man, so you just did 2. And then on 5, you could play Black Bolt technically on 5. You've just completely neutered their hand. Now, obviously, you need to have things that are building up for yourselves, but if you just got Swarm each time, tick, 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 and then you got the Stature, you can also play her. All of a sudden, you're playing 4 Swarms, 6 Swarms, a Stature. It's a new style of deck, and I really feel like Silver Samurai is being overlooked just because of it being Destroy season. But I'm super excited for the card, man.
Ours they get overlooked often, surprise. You just don't have to look very far. Remember Legion? I remember that card. That card got overlooked, and look at us now.
Dude, I would love for people to rank the July cards and go back and look at their early rankings, because, yeah, something like Legion, definitely surprise. Look, man, we don't have to go too much more into synergized cards with them. We can just say what we've already said with Daken, Moongirl, Morbius, these other cards. He feels like he's going to be one of the key pieces if you want Daken to really work into a discard build. He's that kind of missing link that gets things moving quickly, Alex. I'm pumped for the Silver Samurai.
I know that he's understated by basically 1 point. Like, you generally want 4-6 minimum. But I do think that the disruption that you create in your opponent's hand is going to be worth it for the most part. I really do think it'll be worth it, because you're going to be getting value on the other side. You're designing it with the Muramasa Shard in mind. You're designing with Swarms in mind. Yep. So you should have a disproportional benefit. So I think this card's probably being slept on, but I still think it's going to be niche.
If you look at all of the cards with the Season Pass included, guys, hell of a lineup. My advice to you is, if you like Destroy a ton, you get the Season Pass, you save up, and you get X23 via maybe tokens, or you go and push your luck on the spotlights that week. If you're playing discard, you get Daken, and then you maybe go after something like Silver Samurai and X23 together if you want to go all in on the one card. Either way, I think it's a really good season. What is your 1 through 4 here, buddy? Let's start with the worst card. I'm going to go Lady Deathstrike.
Yeah, Lady Deathstrike's definitely going to be the weakest here. I agree.
Number 3.
Number 3 for me is going to be Silver Samurai.
Yeah, which is so crazy to think that that's there. Whereas I'm guessing we could just finish with Season Pass card, Daken, and the next 23.
Agreed. Yep.
Awesome stuff. I think Daken might be maybe a little more plug and play the next 23. We're going to have to see if his like combo pieces work with something like Forge. But man, very exciting season ahead. Look, we said it before. July was a lot of fun, but it wasn't like the most like sexy season. The cards were just kind of like cool, right? But between this season, next season, we're in for a good time, buddy. And that brings us to our last subject, buddy. Man, I feel like we could talk for hours on this whole podcast, but we've got the OTA buff, the latest one. And man, they do it again. They go on the risky side of things. And like, it's funny if you compare this one to like the Invisible Woman one a couple months ago. It feels like OTAs now are something to get super excited about. We had 5 massive buffs happen this time around that weren't like, groundbreaking, but they definitely brought a lot of viability to cards that needed a little bit of love. And Alex, dude, listen, people think I already work for Second Dinner. I'm not helping my case by on the last OTA saying these 3 cards need to be fixed because Phoenix Force was, and then those are the 3 that ended up getting boosted. Overall impressions, man, on the OTA.
My first impression was no nerfs. I love it. I love the idea that they brought the game up. They brought cards that needed help up. I can't get enough of just seeing buffs. And what I love about this too is like you bring up Captain Marvel. Let's start there. So obviously one of my favorite cards is Marvel Snap. Like legitimately the card I love the most that I never get to play.
You haven't talked about her in months. Yeah. Captain Marvel was like, I haven't heard that since January.
I know. It literally has been my favorite card in the game for the longest time. One of the first videos I ever made about Marvel Snap was about Captain Marvel because I love the card so much. And it's funny because it just was unplayable. It was unplayable. I tried the whole like, buffer up and this and that. Maybe she's just didn't work. And Second Dinner has done this a couple times. Where like if I was a game designer and I was like, you know what? Just add a power to it. Like there's so many obviously, just add a power, make it a 5/7, whatever, right? And they were so much better at saying, you know what? No. Let's give Captain Marvel a specific slice of this meta. Drop her to 4. Going from a 5/6 to a 4/5 is not, it's like that's a straight up buff. The Zabu synergy is insane. And the ability is wild. It's just wild. This change to me completely reinvigorated my desire to play like inventive Zabu based decks.
So tell me this, if you were to give her, I want to do this for each of the OTA cards. What tier was she in before the buff and what is she in now? F tier through S tier.
I would say that she was D tier. She was D tier, not F tier. She was definitely in the D tier. Yep. I feel like now she's in A and she's like tapping on the S. Like she's like, hey S, I'm here.
That's my exact notes outside of I have her just like comfortably in A. I don't have her like going near S tier territory. But my gosh, dude, playing her down on 3 with the Zabu is insane. I will say she can be a bit awkward sometimes. Like I feel like I can always play her late. You know what I mean? Like when it's turn 3 and I have Rock Slide in her, I'm like, well, I'm just going to play Rock Slide. Like, why would I play her now? Or I can wait on her, and then sometimes I get my other pulls and I don't play her. But I have to tell you what you said about the flexibility changes is awesome. And we say this a lot, Alex, where it's like her best days are ahead of her. But I think they are because right now we're in this lockdown, and not just Storm, but like Pro X, like extreme lockdown. Whereas once that kind of dips a little bit more, her flying around is going to be better in these less flood decks and lockdown. I agree. D tier to A tier, man, definitely feels a lot more plug and playable.
And she can be used on turn 6. Like I think you're right. You always play Rock Slide first because of the disruption it provides. I think that's key. But she can be played on turn 6. Like your turn 6 could literally be Dark Hawk, Captain Marvel, right? Like it's crazy because she provides you with a lot of added utility. She does have some counterbalance because as you mentioned, like the lockdown based decks like the Prof X can't do anything. Need a baby shark for that. Spider-Man though, she flies into that location. She doesn't care. Death's Domain, she doesn't care. It gives you a lot of Storm, she doesn't care. Flooded locations don't bother Captain Marvel. So she does give you a lot of added versatility. The one thing where I found like I kind of forgot about is she often forces you to not play 4 wide. Which can be tricky on turn 6 because you're like, I kind of want to throw a card here, but if I do, Cap can't fly here. And it can sometimes make your board balance a little awkward, especially since like she's committing a spot on the location at that turn, which can be awkward. So it does take a macro level consideration, but ultimately I love the card. And I think this is a huge winner.
I'm glad you brought that up because I have an insane deck. I've been, for those that... I've been extremely under the weather. I've had some health stuff pop up, so I've been gone if you're wondering where my deck guides are. But I have an insane deck that I've been playing with her while I've been sick. It's kind of insane. Now, it uses Sarah, and it's one of those decks where it's like, yeah, you want to pop the Mysterios and all this down, but you have to be so careful with plugging up your side of the board. I feel like for her, though, the craziness of just being, you know what it did? It made Jeff a little less good. Not like Jeff's not insane, but now you have like more ways to get to these lockdown locations or ways just to kind of help buff your side up. The Shang-Chi play with her, absolutely incredible. Hell, even Craven got himself a little bit of a boost up because of her. Nailed it. Nailed it so much so that I feel like maybe, just maybe, they didn't do our boy Vision the ultimate justice. Now, I'm not saying I don't think Vision's buff was great, but let's go ahead and rank him where he was and where he is now. Alex, would you agree with me? He's also probably was a D tier.
I would maybe lean towards C.
Maybe,
I played
right?
Vision more than
right
other
there.
people. I still liked Vision. I still thought he was okay. I still played him in like Lockjaw decks. I still played him like in ramp decks even, honestly, because I thought he was a fun turn 4, sorry. But like, yeah, I would say he was probably C, maybe getting close to D.
He was right there on the edge for me, and now he's either remained towards the top end of that tier, so he's like the top end of C, or the low end of B, just with the power point. I will say his presence is a bit more noticeable. Shuri decks, obviously, the 516 is fantastic, and the Lockjaw decks is really his home, I feel like. Cheating him out, moving him, having 8 power is fantastic, but it's just by comparison. To me, with Vision, what I wanted more of is to enhance his mind games a bit more. And to me, and I'm not saying I don't love these changes, but I thought we were going to see Captain Marvel get a boost up in power and Vision go down 1. And that way you can move Vision around a lot more, maybe abuse his mechanic for Kraven and other cards, and keep your opponent, maybe unsurprised, play with priority. And then Captain Marvel is supposed to be a win more card, and or not a win more, but she helps you win the game. And then they do that by increasing her power ever more. That's how I thought I probably would have handled the change, but that's just me.
I like that idea, like Captain Marvel maybe going to like 5/7, and it was the Vision being the 4/5. That is kind of interesting. I wonder if that steps on the toes of Phoenix Force a bit. Like I wonder if they were trying to protect Phoenix Force because Phoenix Force got dropped down to 4 and can move every single turn if it's destroyed something.
Yeah, but you get
That's
the
probably
reactivation of the on reveal. I feel like there's enough with her to make it unique enough, but yeah, I get it. I do get it. It just felt like Vision. If Vision was in the Invisible Woman patch, we would have been like, oh, cool. A PowerPoint, we'll take it. I think it's just by comparison.
Yeah, I for what it's worth, I do think this card's good.
Yeah.
I actually do like it. It's just not great. Like it's not a combo breaker. It's just not the card that's going to be like, oh, damn, I got to retreat. Like it just doesn't do that.
On the board. Yeah.
The Vision's, oh, we're done. It doesn't. But what I will tell you is there's a lot of games where Vision comes out and I'm like, damn. Like Vision, like he can go there and I can't do anything about it, right?
Yeah.
And I actually think this could have went to 5/9 because the Shang-Chi factor, he moves. He moves. Like I think the 5/9 isn't as much a disadvantage.
At the end of the day, I want to wheel a snap with the guy. He's a lot better than people lean on. I just don't think this change is going to have people being like, man, I'm slotting in Vision now. He's going to be my card. If Lockjaw goes up again or Ramp continues to push in unique ways, that's where Vision's going to get the play. Next up on the OTA, we had ourselves Absorbing Man. And Absorbing Man, I think, is, man, he's still the same role in a sense of the win more in times, and you get a little bit greedy. But, dude, 5 power is 5 power, and that's a significant difference. I think it's going to be about a month before we see the best Absorbing Man deck. But, man, I'm a combo guy. This was where I was just giddy at to begin with. I love the change.
I do, too. The power is very significant. And it kind of still just feels like Absorbing Man, though. Like it feels less risky to play. But, like, the Hazmat Absorbing Man stuff still kind of sucks. It's still, like, your 35% win rate meme stuff. But I think there is potential for that kind of deck to be elevated because of the added power that's being achieved by Absorbing Man. So, like, I don't think we're there yet. I think you're right. We need another month with this card. But it's one of those cards that when given the opportunity, it's going to really shine because it has one of the best on reveals in the game. Like, it's one of the best abilities in the game.
What was his tier before? What is it?
Man, he was close to F for me. Like, he was close to F for me. And it's a shame because, like, he shouldn't be. This is a great ability. Now I feel like he is, like, low C. And I feel like if I can figure him out, then he jumps up to, like, A.
Mine was bottom of D, and he's kind of towards the top of C, maybe low into B this time around. I think the Brood synergy works the best for him. And the cool thing is, we now have a card like Zabu and Surfer that's like he's always going to get benefit in some way with these on-reveal cards, and we just have to see. Like the Lady DeathStrike example is a pure obvious, like, wow, that's going to be fantastic, trying to pair that up. Or if you have Eliath and then you play him on 6 with Shang-Chi, whatever. I think there's some cool places for him in the future. The Black Panther stuff has not been... I think ramp decks are his best friend now because you also have the power to make up for it. So I like it. I think he's good. I think he's going to continue to get good. And those of you that are big combo players like myself, rejoice. Good stuff there. We have Hulkbuster. We kind of already touched on him. Nice change. I think he'll work in the decks that he's gonna work in, right? And a nice little boost up. Let's end on a card that I think both of us, man, we've had him in our must be buffed. Terrible card. Nobody played him. In fact, if you go look at stats on him before the buff, he was literally at a 0%. Like there was not enough data on who played this card. What do we think of Hawkeye?
Hawkeye got a massive buff. Like I think that it really helped elevate Bounce quite a bit. Bounce got nerfed. It got attacked. Kitty Pryde's ceiling got reduced. And now Hawkeye kind of comes in and says, hey, I'm here. I can put up power. Actually, a lot of power. Like I can near compete with Kitty Pryde. A little more susceptible to Killmonger because he's kind of just sitting there sometimes just waiting to get smoked. But I like the card. I like the change. And ultimately, like if 1-4 is not enough, then like this is where the card stops. You can't make it 1-5, right? Like this is where it has to end. But like honestly, it's a shadow buff to Falcon. Hawkeye turn 1, Falcon turn 2 is not only the best. It's not like the best way to use Falcon, but it is a way to use Falcon because then now you get to play Hawkeye again. You follow it up. It's kind of crazy how much power Hawkeye can put up when being bounced back and forth.
Yeah. So listen, when the OTAs came out, I didn't realize I'd be sick and miss a couple of days of content, but I knew everyone was going to do Captain Marvel. I knew that was the hot deck to make, and I was like, wait a second. Let me concentrate on Hawkeye Bounce. Let me really play this card out and see how it feels. Dude, I love it. You don't even have to play Falcon on 2 because you can end up building it up and then you play him a little bit later. Now, he is like the ultimate 1-drop on 6 that if you get him or you want to play him, it's like, hey, well, worthless card right here. But man, the fact that you can make him like a 110 potentially with the craziest things happening to him is awesome. And talk about a new Bast card that is so incredibly valued, right? You have a 1-6 if you get Bast to go off on this. You bounce him, you get that up to a 1-9, man. A 1-9 is better than Kitty Pryde by a good amount, right? So, hey, all I'm saying is Hawkeye now has cemented himself probably in bounce decks. You just have to, you know what it is? It made bounce decks even harder to play. You have to be a little bit more wise on your bounce backs and when you do what. But I love the addition of Hawkeye. This feels like the perfect buff.
It does feel like a great buff. And one thing I'll say, a long time ago, we talked about turn 1 and 2 combos. And I remember saying, you know what you can do? You can play Hawkeye into mid location, then play Medusa. And then that's not that bad power. Well, Medusa got buffed. Hawkeye got buffed. If you turn 1-2 Medusa Hawkeye, that's like not an insignificant amount of power in 2 turns.
9 power
in that
on
middle
2
location.
turns? That's
like
really
kind of
good.
crazy if you think about
That's
it.
one
like,
less than Ebony Maw 0.
I was just going to say, it's 1 less than Ebony Maw 0, and you can play these cards after turn 3.
Dude, yeah. What a time to be alive in Marvel Snap. We're talking about Hawkeye and Medusa, meta top tier combos over here. Dude, I think it's crazy how one PowerPoint can really bring up a card to the next tier, man. Just excited to see the next OTA. Good OTAs, great season ahead. Guys, get ready for Destroy if you like it. Alex, another great episode of the Snapshot.
Yeah, it's a wild particular Monday because my friends in the comments section, I mean, listen, there's one thing you have to say, and it's happy birthday, Cozy. Happy birthday, my friend. Today is your birthday, and I'm glad we get to celebrate it here on the Snapchat with all of you wonderful people. My friend, what's it feel like to be the birthday boy?
Just fantastic. Over here talking about Marvel Snap card. Dude, being able to do the podcast, man. What a great birthday. Gonna go to this cool, like, anime kind of Japanese house for food tonight. Looking forward to that, too. And then it's a new season of Snap, which also means I'll be up all night trying to make content. So, give and take, but I'm pumped.
That's awesome, buddy. Well, yeah, happy birthday to you. And thank you to everyone for all your support.
Have a good one. Have a great one. Good luck in the new season. And until the next one, happy snapping.